Come on in, you guys. We're getting ready to start the show that I'm going to start doing now over on Clubhouse. So Clubhouse is kind of the new kid on the block when it comes to doing social media. And so I started engaging over on Clubhouse this week. And I decided that I like this place. I think it's wonderful to connect with people in real time. So I am using like all my podcasting skills to do this kind of show over on Clubhouse. It's live. There's people on there that will be listening in. I haven't started yet. I'm going to start here in a second, but there's people that listen in, engage in the content. So we have a really good time. Hello, Holly. So come on in, guys, and we're going to get started. I actually do want to hear your feedback all about what we talk about. I've got Suzanne Ryan on here today to share the stage with me about this, but it's going to be kind of interesting because you're going to hear voices of people besides just me. Those of you that are used to watching me on Jimmy Rants, I'm deciding that this is a pretty good little format, and I like the format of Clubhouse, and I wanted to bring it to those of you who can't download it yet. Right now it's by invitation only, and it's only for iPhone users, so that cuts out a lot of people. And I wanted to make sure you could engage in the content that I'm doing there. I may be shifting the Jimmy Rants branding over to what I'm doing now. So just be aware of that. This show, this username here on Instagram might change. But for now, we're going to put it under the Jimmy Rants for now. And you'll get to hear kind of an interview style with live people listening in. So let me start the show. And here we go. What is going on, you guys? Thanks for coming into the Clubhouse. We have a wonderful show in store for you guys here today. I have my friends over at Instagram listening in and watching in today. And Holly asks if I'm doing well. I am doing well. Thank you. Thank you for that, Holly. And so we're going to go ahead and get this show on the road. I have a wonderful co-host guest who will be on today. And yes, she is on the way. Looks like she's texting me now. So anyway, hopefully she gets here soon. We will find out very soon. And also I'm waiting on the moderators. When they come in here, that opens the floodgates of the room to open up. So hopefully they come in, open me up here. Hello, Joan, over on the Clubhouse room. I need Judith to unlock the room. And she hasn't done that yet, so could you go ping her, Joan, and let her know Jimmy needs to get in his room. He has started his room. We need Judith. See, this is the fun part of new technology. They haven't worked out all the kinks yet. And so let me see if I can figure out a way to ping her. Ping Vaughn. I'm going to ping a bunch of people. There she is. Hello, Judith.
Me and Suzanne opened another room.
Yes. So I was like, wait a minute. I can't get anybody to come into my room. And there's my co-host. Hello, Suzanne.
Hey, you can tell I'm like such a newbie.
Oh, no. It wasn't you.
What's going on?
It wasn't you, sweetie. Judith is the one that has to open any new room that comes into Keto for the Soul. So we always wait for the magician to walk in the room. So thank you, Judith.
You're so silly.
So guys, we are simulcasting. I think this is probably one of the first times you can simulcast or somebody tried to simulcast over on Instagram. So I'm Instagram living. Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. Holly says, can I just download the Clubhouse app? You can, but you still need an invitation, and definitely we get those every few days. So reach out to me in my DMs and we'll try to get that set up. But today, you guys, I have a wonderful, not just guest, but a good personal friend of mine. I've known her for many years. She has an amazing success story in keto that I know you're going to love. But beyond that, we are talking about something that is at the heart of a lot of what I'm doing now. I see my friend Brittany is over here on the Instagram feed. She and I talk about this a lot on our One Step Deeper podcast, but Suzanne Ryan, if you don't know the name Suzanne Ryan, please go follow her over on Clubhouse. You will adore her to death. I have just really enjoyed all of her work and her friendship over the years. Keto Karma is what you probably know her as. It's so funny, Suzanne, because, oh, you're living La Vida Low Carb. I'm like, no, damn it, I'm Jimmy Morse. So I'm sure you get that a lot. Are you Keto Karma? No, I'm Suzanne Ryan. Thank you.
I know.
It's called good branding, I suppose, if people know your brand. But guys, Suzanne, if you don't know, had the biggest book in keto. I mean, by far the biggest book in keto about 2-3 years ago when it came out. It was called Simply Keto. If you have not gotten a copy of that, go get it. But she just released one, what was it, about a year or so ago, Suzanne, when it came out?
Yeah, so my last book actually came out in December on Christmas Eve. So it was like the book came out, I went on tour, and then COVID happened and everything shut down. So
yes. So
it was an interesting book launch.
Yes, exactly. COVID really messed up a lot of us authors and our plans for books and things. So that one's called Beyond Simply Keto. So she wanted to bring in a lot of the things we're going to talk about here today. And because she's a good friend and because she was one of the early adapters like me on Clubhouse, we decided let's talk about mindset and trauma and mental health and how everything related to what you're doing in keto relates to those things as well if you still have kind of unresolved issues from your past. So why don't we dive right into that, Suzanne? Tell a little bit of your story about why this is so important to you.
Hey guys, so thanks so much for having me. And Jimmy, you are seriously the best. You know, a lot of times, I don't think people realize when they meet Jimmy that he is the OG of keto. I would not have found out about keto or even attempted it if it wasn't for him. So a lot of us owe so much gratitude to Jimmy for, 17 years now, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm the old guy in the community, yes.
That's not what I'm saying. But just for really starting this conversation, I actually found out about keto from Reddit. And that's kind of a great place to go if you want to spend your entire afternoon on the internet. And, so I found some transformation stories, and basically my backstory is I started struggling with my weight, I would say probably around middle school age, and it was definitely something that I just constantly was trying to lose weight and feel better about myself, and it was definitely a point of contention. I was definitely picked on. I had family members that definitely let me know that it was a problem, on all levels. I was very much aware that my weight was an issue at a pretty young age. So I had done, more diets than I can even count. And I had really kind of gotten to the point where I was just like, all right, I'm done. I've tried everything. I've given it a go. I did every diet you can think of. I went to weight loss centers. I did coaching. I had B12 shots and weight loss centers. You name it, I had tried it. So eventually I ended up being over 300 pounds. And along that way, I would try a diet, maybe be successful for a week or two, and then fall off because nothing that I was doing I could really convert into a lifestyle. I was always looking for that quick fix of okay, I've been dieting for a week. Am I good now? Does everything fit now? Am I better? Do I feel better about myself? And along that journey, I had really entangled my self-worth into my size and how I looked. And, I was actually talking to my husband this morning about how it's really complex how if you really kind of sit back and look at it, we're really only 2 generations back from our value, especially as women, being so much about how we looked. Our grandmothers, I remember my grandmother saying to me, make sure you brush your hair and put on lipstick and look nice and put on a dress before Mick gets home. And I'm like, what? No, he's just going to get home and he's going to love me for who I am. But I realized that my grandmother grew up with her value was how did she look? That's how you got a good husband, and that's how that was your job as the woman of the household. And then my mom's generation kind of were hippies and they rebelled against that because they were tired of the pressures of that. And then so we're still kind of untangling ourselves from our value being so attached to our weight.
Yes.
So it's crazy how deep that runs. And that issue is for men as well. Mick and I were talking about that this morning, about how, for men, maybe their value wasn't so much about their worth, but definitely with their weight, it was attracting a spouse. They knew that women like maybe they weren't gonna be the popular ones in high school, or they weren't gonna be the ones that people were going after, you know?
Oh, Suzanne, for men, it's hard work. If you don't work hard and provide for your family, you're a useless man. So yeah, that flips that way.
Yeah, it's so interesting how there's like all these dynamics that are kind of built in of like, what is our worth? So I think the really cool thing is as our generation is coming up and getting wiser, and I think we do each generation, I'm sure my daughter's going to look at me and be like, what were you guys thinking? So it's great that we're constantly improving. But I think, you know, more than anything, we're just trying to really separate and know that our worth is a constant. It's not something that we negotiate with other people, and it's not something that is based on how much money we make, what we look like, how much we weigh, you know, all these factors that we've been told and conditioned to think that our value is based on. So I didn't really realize that at first, though. I did keto. I started and stopped on the same day because I was like, this is hard, and there's still delicious food in my house that I want to eat, and like I'm really used to giving up on diets, so like this is no problem for me. Like I've done this a million times before. But then I realized like 2 weeks later that life is like very, very precious, and I really kind of clicked with me. I think everybody has their why moment. Jimmy, you had your why moments, right, with your family and everything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and one of the whys was when my brother Kevin died when he was 41. That was back in 2008, and I had already been successful on low carb, but then that kind of propelled me down a spiral for a bit that I had to kind of come out of. So yeah, we all have those whys, and Kevin is mine.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everybody definitely has like their why moment, and sometimes it's just like a gradual build up, because I think at the core we all want to improve and we all want to be happy and healthy, but sometimes it just takes this kind of spark moment, which a lot of people refer to as their why. So for me, it was one of my best friends. Her son was diagnosed with a terminal disease at 1 year old, and like really getting a grip on how precious life is and how much gratitude I have for like waking up every day, like really sunk in. And I was like, okay, I have a healthy body besides how I'm eating and how I'm taking care of myself. So I really need to invest in myself. So I started doing keto for the second time. And in that time, it really clicked. And, you know, I didn't tell anybody for the first like 10 weeks because I was like, I got to just keep this on lockdown because I'm like the girl who cried wolf.
Oh, yeah.
With diets.
And they judge
like,
you so bad, don't they, Suzanne, in the early days?
Yeah. It's like, and it's funny because you know how Facebook pops up and it's like here's a memory from 5 years ago. Mine's like, I'm starting juicing today, so excited. I'm starting Atkins today, so excited. Like, I'm gonna go to this weight loss center today. Like, you know, everything was like so heavily based on like what I was trying to do to lose weight. But something definitely really clicked that time. And then 10 weeks in is when I launched my YouTube channel, because besides Jimmy Moore here, no one was really talking about keto, and I was like the one who had a lot of friends, and maybe they had to lose like 5 or 10 pounds. And like when you have 120 pounds to lose, you're like, can you just not talk to me about how you need to lose 5 or 10 pounds? Like I'm literally like, I can't. Like we're almost not going to be friends anymore. So you know. So I launched a YouTube channel, and I was like, all right, I'll just go ahead and share this experience, and it will be like a great source of accountability. And what I really wanted most of all was like connection, because I think I had so much shame built up. I had never told anyone how much I weighed. I like, if somebody would even ask me in a clothing store, like, oh, what size are you looking for? I'd be like, oh, no, don't worry. Like, I'm good. Like, I never wanted to say like I'm wearing a size 26. Like,
yes.
There was just so much shame built up, and I had it bottled up inside for so many years that I just knew that I needed to get it out. And I knew that there were other people struggling, and I wanted people to have like a safe place to be like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I've struggled with, and it's not going to define me anymore. So that's what I did. And I lost 120 pounds in about a year and 3 months. And then, you know, the rest is kind of history with, you know, launching a lot of stuff with Keto Karma and trying to help other people along the way. And, you know, of course, Jimmy recommended for writing a book. So I wrote Simply Keto after doing that.
And
you want
now,
to say something?
and now she makes keto crackers, you guys, from a company called Defy Foods. I know you don't want to pitch it, but I'm going to make you pitch it. Just tell them about it, and then we'll reset the room.
Okay. Yeah, so my best friend, actually, she's in the room, Jessica, down below. We're both busy working moms, and one of the things that we get to see a lot, especially like working and, connecting with people in the keto space is we were starting to see a lot of like keto products come up, and we really like having some convenient options, but we weren't really happy with a lot of the ingredients that were in things, because as you learn more and more about keto, you learn like, oh, I don't really want products with maltitol or inulin or like, a number of different things. So we decided, after much thought and 2 years of working on it, that we were going to launch a keto food line that was ingredients based, like that we really made sure that we vetted the ingredients and that the quality of the ingredients were just as good as the taste. So we just launched, actually yesterday, it was the first day that the website went live. It's defyfoods.com. Let me get some more.
See, she's been talking so much. I'm wearing you out already.
I know. I'm like, oh, for some reason my throat is like, so I think it's like we're starting to have stuff blooming here, and I'm like, allergies are popping up.
She's in Atlanta, you guys. She doesn't have the ice or whatever. So.
I know. So it's defyfoods.com, and we just launched a keto cheddar cracker, and it has 2 grams of net carbs, and Jess and I really like to make charcuterie boards, and we have all these awesome dips and like guacamole and all these different yummy things, but then we had no vessel, no cracker, so we decided to give something crunchy out there, because we a lot of times get sick of having pork rinds, and celery just is the only option.
Oh, pork rinds get old very fast.
Oh my gosh, I know.
All right, well, thank you for that. And just so you guys know, we are simulcasting. I don't think anybody's ever done this with Clubhouse yet, but I am live, and I see Judith is on both platforms, both on her platform, Keto for the Soul, over on Clubhouse, as well as over on Instagram Live under my Jimmy rants over there. So if you want to watch Jimmy staring at a screen, go watch over on Instagram Live. It's a lot of fun. But we do have some feedback. Tekla said that she's ordering some of your crackers now, so thanks for that.
Thank you.
And Brittany said, I never told anyone I was dieting until I lost 20 pounds. For me, it was 100, because then they noticed, but they didn't notice until then.
Totally.
Yes. So we're going to reset the room. You are in the Keto for the Soul room over on Clubhouse. Click on that little greenhouse at the top of the page just above me and Suzanne. And then subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss one of these. I am going to start simulcasting these on my Instagram Live over at the Jimmy Rants Instagram page if you want to follow there and watch. Tekla says I'm handsome. Thank you for that, Tekla. I needed a little boost today. And so go check it out over there. This way, we're also recording. So those of you that come up to speak here in a minute, just know you are being recorded. We have that little REC with the red dot at the end for that purpose. I'm going to put this up on IGTV for people that can't get Clubhouse yet, as well as up on YouTube. I'm a podcaster for a living, so this is what I do. I make content. So trying to also boost Keto for the Soul, because I think what Judith has built here is phenomenal. But thank you guys for being here. Go ahead and click on the raise your hand, click on the little hand thing if you want to come up and ask a question. But just in a minute, Suzanne and I want to dive into this topic pretty good. But before we get hot and heavy into the topic, Suzanne, I want to tell a little bit of my story, because mine is around trauma. And I was abused as a teenager, and I was both emotionally and physically abused. And, we think, okay, that's in the past. You don't really need to worry about things that happened to you in the past because they don't apply to the present. Oh, you want to bet? Mindset and mental health is everything about what has happened to you in your past. And it could be something great. Like people say, well, I didn't have somebody beat me, but did they mentally beat you? Did they tell you you wouldn't amount to anything? Did they basically pour negativity into your life, which is why I'm over the top positive in my work now to kind of make up for it. And I think it shocks people when I reach out to them and they share their story, and I just say, I'm just so proud of you. And you could just feel the tears coming down their cheek because they've never had somebody say that to them before.
Yeah, totally. It's amazing how much that is ingrained in all of us. I think there's one common thing that I think a lot of people really struggle with, and that is knowing their worth, because they've had so many things question it along their way.
Yeah, but it's more common than we want to admit, Suzanne. Like, that's the thing. Brittany and I do that show One Step Deeper podcast for the same reason. Nobody's talking about this part of your health, and all we focus on is diet and exercise, maybe a little bit of some other things, but we don't talk about how'd you get to be obese to begin with? How did you get to the point where you craved food? Something triggered that, and more times than not, it was some kind of emotional trauma or event that took place, maybe physical, maybe sexual. Like, all of these things are real life, and I guess we just don't like talking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think what it is really is it all comes down to shame, and shame grows in silence. So the more we're quiet about the things that we feel shame about, the harder it gets, the deeper we get buried into a hole. And the thing that actually gives you resilience and gets you out of that is like the thing that feels counterintuitive in some ways, but it's actually the very thing that sets you free from that, and that is vulnerability and sharing and connection and releasing all that stuff, so that you can go forward and raise your kids differently and connect with other people differently and share love with other people who maybe don't have that.
Oh my gosh, yes. And Joshua over on Instagram said, I avoided conflict, and I still do today, because of all the stuff I went through as a kid. And we've all done that, and we all learn habits that we don't know why we do things that we do. But more times than not, it's a coping mechanism. It's some habit we developed early so we could avoid the conflict and avoid the abuse that we were going through.
Yeah, and honestly, I am a huge proponent of mental health and counseling, like any type of therapy. And even if that just means that you have a friend that you can call and talk to, and have it be someone who is like positive and uplifting, and someone that you can really kind of, not just someone who's going to be like, yeah, and agreeing with you all the time, like people who will call you out when you need to be called out, and having that support system, and like having somebody that you can really talk to about all the things that you're struggling with, so that you're not bottling it up inside.
It's funny you say that, because mine is on Instagram right now, and she said, this conversation is so up my alley, Brittany. Our past dictates who we become. We can use it to grow bitter, or we can use it to grow better. But every human being has endured hard things that they must face at some point.
For sure.
Yeah. So, like, once people become aware that they fall into these traps with their mindset, and that they are dealing with coping mechanisms around their trauma, and they're dealing with some mental health issues, beyond going to seek professional counseling, and I highly recommend that, by the way. I have a licensed therapist as a life coach, and I'll check in with her every once in a while. Yes, even Jimmy Moore has a life coach, because it's helpful, you guys, to kind of keep you grounded. Other than that, what are some tricks and things that, as people go through a keto journey, they don't psych themselves out when they don't see the number on the scale move or other supposed progress?
I think that it's kind of interesting, because I think that this changes along the way, and I think you start recognizing it more and more, the value you're placing on different things. So yes. I think it's really important that people give themselves a break and give yourself like some grace, because as you're going through your journey, you're going to value different things at different times, and you're going to have moments where you're like, oh, I can't believe I placed so much value on this, but now it's changed to this. So like, if right now you value losing 5 pounds, like that's fine. Like you do you. Like keep going. Keep trying to find what works for you. And then if later on you grow a little bit more, or your mindset shifts after you learn certain things, like we got to give permission for people to be where they are while they're trying to get better. That's one thing that drives me more crazy than anything, is like people try to make this box for what everybody who's doing keto or everyone who's trying to improve should be in. And the reality is like we're all on different journeys, and we're all supporting each other, but we have to support where each other are at as we're striving to be better versions of ourselves. Oh,
I love that, Suzanne. And so many people here on Clubhouse, I peek into most of the rooms throughout the day, and that's like a common theme of, well, I'm kind of new here and I don't really feel worthy yet. And I'm like, yeah, you are. You're worthy right where you are right now. That's one mindset shift. Try saying that real fast, you guys. Mindset shift that I think everybody could implement right now and you would get all the benefits that would then motivate you. Like a lot of people, Suzanne, and you've been through this, I've been through this, you're kind of in the midst of your journey and you, quote, lose your motivation. It's because you forget to celebrate where you are in the moment right now.
Totally. And, I think one of the things that really set in with me, and I didn't realize it for a while, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to write Beyond Simply Keto was, I had romanticized what losing weight was going to do because it was something that was always out of reach my whole life. And it was something that I was teased relentlessly on. And, my self-worth and self-esteem had gotten so low. So, I romanticized, once I lose weight, then I'm going to be happy. Then I'm going to be attractive. Then I'm going to be worthy. And, it's just this thing that, developed along the way. And I don't think I even realized how intense that actually was. And then after I lost 120 pounds, I was like, well, crap. I lost all this weight, but I still have so much to work on. I'm still doubting my self-worth. I'm still feeling unattractive. It didn't unlock this magical kingdom like I thought it was. And what now? This was the thing that I thought was going to fix everything.
Yes.
And I love the quote that says, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. And it's really trying to break away from that. I'm going to be happy when, I'm going to be happy now. I'm going to work on loving myself, making myself a priority. And you know what? When you do that, those other things that you've been wanting, they'll fall into place. But if you don't value yourself, you won't take care of yourself. So it's all about knowing that your value and your worth is a constant. And that takes practice and ongoing effort.
And years upon years upon years of forgiving yourself for always doubting everything you just said.
For sure.
Yeah.
One of the most powerful moments I think that I ever had in a self-improvement class that I did, it was actually a public speaking class. We were all sitting on the couch, and it was the whole reason why a lot of people are afraid of public speaking is because of this same thing. It's a lack of confidence, being nervous. It really comes down to fear. What are people going to think of me? What if I stumble? What if I say something wrong? What if I freeze? And I struggled with that big time. So when I went from being kind of an introvert ultrasound tech to being on the Today Show and going on live with Kelly and Ryan and speaking in front of thousands of people, I had to figure out, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
Because this is not a road that I anticipated being on. So I had to kind of get to the core of why was I so afraid? Why was I so afraid to be seen? And I realized that it was because most of my life I was the girl in the corner. I was the one who wasn't going out. I was the one who felt shame. I didn't feel worth. So I had to really work on that stuff. And so I went to a public speaking class before I went to speak at MHS. And one of the most amazing moments was the head lady handed out a mirror for all of us to hold. And we were all sitting in this room. There was 15 people. It was a small group. And she had us hold the mirror up close enough that we could only see our eyes. We couldn't be analyzing our face or being critical of ourselves or in our head. We could just see our eyes. And she was like, now I want you to repeat after me. I'm sorry for all the things, these awful things that I say to myself.
Ooh, I love that.
And I still get choked up thinking about it, because when you're just there and you're thinking about all these things that we do to ourselves, the way we tear ourselves down, the way we limit ourselves, the way that we talk to ourselves, is things that we would never say to our friends, never say to people we love, never ever say to our kids, but yet we say it to ourselves. And in that moment of really reflecting on, why do we do that? And forgiving ourselves for actually doing that, and starting a better conversation with ourselves moving forward.
Wow. I love that. And I remember when you went to that speaking course, you texted me or we talked on the phone or something, and you're like, I have to get good at this because I'm about to explode. I said, I know and I love that you're doing that. And see, you were aware enough not to put yourself in a situation where it would have overwhelmed you.
Yeah. I think a lot of times people get into doing things like social media and stuff like that because, everybody has their different reasons, but some people genuinely really love the spotlight, or they really love having an audience, or they really like being on, and I am really not that person.
You're the reluctant influencer.
I'm the accidental, and I even hate the word influencer.
So, listen, let me tell people who you are. How many Instagram followers do you have? And don't humble brag. Just get it out.
No, there's a couple.
Oh, no. I want to hear it. How many? Is it like 700,000?
No.
500,000? See, I'm making up an absurd number to make you say the right one.
I know. It's like a little over 300,000.
Okay, I'm going somewhere with this, so work with me. Over 300,000 on Instagram. Go become 300,001, you guys. Go click on her profile. On YouTube, how many subscribers?
I haven't done YouTube in a while. I did YouTube videos every weekend for a year, and then I got really burned out.
Yes.
It takes up so much time.
You have a ton over there as well. Hundreds of thousands I'm aware of over there as well. Like, you've built this kind of thing, and we were just talking about our mutual friend Leanne Vogel, who also had a big splash with a book, also has had a huge following, and she kind of went the other direction where it kind of sent her in a tailspin in her mindset. Her mental health was struggling until last year when she figured out she needed to come to the Christian faith, and she did that, and it's helped her a lot. So, like, you could go one of two ways with this.
Yeah, I mean, I was really fortunate that I have a super supportive and encouraging husband. He is like the biggest cheerleader. He's like, you can do this. Like, we can, like, let's get through this together. I have really great friends, like my friend Jessica here in the room, who like are there for me. And I have such an amazing support system. And, it doesn't come without moments of doubt or imposter syndrome or like, holy crap, what am I doing? Like, before I went on national TV, I was like, what the heck? Like, I don't even like going to parties. Like, what am I doing?
Oh, it was even worse than that, because one of the shows you went on, it was a little controversial, and you just kept smiling and just shared your story. You didn't go there, and I loved it. Like, guys, if you ever get put in the position where you feel like you're being trapped, this is a woman, Suzanne, that can teach you some tricks about how to not fall for people's traps like that.
Yeah, well, I take life the same way that I take keto. Is like, I'm not here to convince anybody else to do, think, or believe anything other than what they want. Like,
yes.
I'm a big advocate of like, you do what works for you, as long as obviously you're not hurting other people. Like, and I hope that it's a positive thing, but like, ultimately it's like, I hope that everyone goes on their own path and does their own thing, because what makes us special is being unique and bringing something new to the table. So I never kind of took this role that I needed to prove myself or prove keto to anybody. So it's like, if you want me to come on and share my story, I'm happy to do that, because I'm super passionate about it. And after years of struggling, like, I really, really want to help other people. Like, that's why I get up and do what I want to do every day. And that's why I face the fears that I have, that I'm, getting better and better at. But like, I really had to overcome a lot to get through to the passion of what I really wanted to do, which was connection. Like, I didn't want anyone else to struggle in silence like I had for so many years. So I had to push through the fear. Like, it's not that the fear wasn't there. I think that's where a lot of people struggle, is like, they hit something that's either hard or scary, and they're like, this is proof that I shouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
And that's actually quite the contrary. Like, when you hit that, like, that's your time to rise.
Oh.
That's your time to overcome do what you were intended to do.
When you do a scary thing and you come out the other end of it and go, hey, I'm good, it builds a little something inside of you. And your brain remembers that, Suzanne. And you're so confident. I remember you guys, I'm going to tell a story with Suzanne. The first time we met was I was going on a speaking tour across Australia. And I was spending the night in San Francisco. And this sweet lady here said, hey, I'll pick you up at the airport if you need a ride. And so she picked me up and she fangirled. It was awesome. It was fun. And, we had a nice little conversation, but you were so timid then. And you were like, I could tell you were confident from your weight loss, but you were still kind of finding yourself. And the woman that's here today, oh my gosh, like, you are like night and day from that girl I met way back when.
Oh, thank you. It's been a lot of work and a lot of counseling and a lot of figuring things out. And still figuring things out. I think that's the great thing, is like, we all have to give ourselves permission and like just acknowledgement that like, we are always going to be a work in progress, and that's great. There is no finish line. That's a facade.
Oh, I'm still trying to figure things out, and people think I have it figured out, and I'm like, no, I'm still figuring things out in life, and that's the beauty of it all.
Totally. Yeah. It is kind of funny though, because I remember I used to look at people and I would think like, oh, they're super successful and they must have all of their stuff together.
Yeah.
And they really they must be so dialed in. And now that I've met like a lot of different entrepreneurs and like really successful like business people and speakers and mental health professionals and people, like tons of people in the keto space, like everybody's a hot mess just like getting through their day. Everybody's figuring things out.
It's almost a prerequisite to be anything productive in life. You kind of have to be a little bit of a hot mess.
Yeah, it's like hot mess paired with bravery.
Yes.
It's just being brave to put yourself out there and to not. One of my favorite quotes, if any of you in here have never heard of Brene Brown, write her name down, look up her books, The Gift of Imperfection, Daring Greatly, Braving the Wilderness, Dare to Lead. She has this saying that I live by, and it says, don't go through life looking for proof that you don't belong, because you will always find it.
Yeah.
And you can replace belonging with so many things. Like, don't go through life looking for proof that you're not thin enough, because you always find it. Don't go through life looking for proof that you don't have enough money, or that you aren't successful enough, or that you don't have this job that you want. Like, don't go through life looking for things that would make you think that you don't belong, or that you're not worthy, or that you're not capable, because you are. But if you look for something hard enough, you're going to find it. So you got to start looking for the good.
You manifest what you think and say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, guys, you are in the Keto for the Soul room. We're going to reset the room here. Click on that little green house at the top, just above my picture and Suzanne's picture, right up there above Beyond Simply Keto. Just click on that little box, subscribe. You're going to want to be a part of what they do here on Clubhouse. We're also simulcasting over on Instagram Live on my Jimmy Rants page over there. I'm probably going to change the name of that soon, because I like the little engagement, and I got quite a few people on here making comments there as well. So thank you guys for being here, both on Instagram and on Clubhouse. But yes, raise your hand if you want to come on up. We're going to come to you guys next. So go ahead and raise your hand if you want to join us here on the stage. And we're going to give the floor to Judith first. You want to share anything, Judith?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I just want to say, Suzanne, everything you have said about your story resonated with me so much. It's crazy how in the beginning, everybody, like what you said, you cried wolf. I just feel like that hit so hard, because for me, since being on Clubhouse, I've learned that it wasn't that I was scared, I was shaming myself. And when you just said that you cried wolf, that like hit me with a ton of bricks, because I was like, wow, I was so afraid everybody was going to think, oh no, here she goes again. And that's what started Keto for the Soul. It started as a self-accountability page on Instagram that I didn't share with anyone else. And when I created this club, I was hoping to find like-minded people, and it's so amazing how I found this entire community, and everyone in here has become my tribe. And I just want to say that I appreciate Jimmy and you, Suzanne, as well, just for even, being here and just sharing all your knowledge. So we all love you. I know I'm speaking for all of us. We're all huge fans, so thank you so much.
You're so sweet. Thank you.
Thank you, Judith, and thank you for giving us a platform. Definitely, you guys over here on Instagram and even on Clubhouse, go follow Keto for the Soul. Is there an underscore at the end? Is that right, Judith?
Yeah, there's an underscore.
Yeah, so go look her up over on Instagram. Follow her, because she does more than just the Clubhouse. But we love Clubhouse, so thank you for this safe place for us to talk. Let's see, we had a comment. Brittany says, write down all your non-scale victories. Do your pants fit better? How do you feel about your life right now? Are you mentally stronger? Are you choosing yourself? Are you able to show up in your life with energy? All of this matters. What do you say, Suzanne?
Yeah, I think, honestly, I get the reason why a lot of people focus so much on the scale, because that's what we've been kind of programmed and conditioned. Again, that's kind of like what I was talking about earlier, is like wiring our brains to really stop having so much of our worth based on that. Now, of course, people want to focus on their health factors, and there's just so many other ways that you can really look at things. Like for me, some of the big things were like, wow, I'm not hungry all the time. That was like one of the most radical changes that happened once I started eating a ketogenic diet. Is before, I was definitely like food addicted. I was thinking about my next meal as I was eating my current meal, and I was constantly hungry, like never ever satisfied. And when I became keto adapted, I was like, man, like I didn't even eat breakfast and I'm not hungry. Like this is so weird. So there's like so many great things that will come out that are not related to your weight, like having energy to go outside and play with your kids, or just having mental clarity to be able to like get more stuff done. There's just so many other elements to focus on besides the scale. And many times during my journey, I actually had my husband hide the scale because I was putting way too much emphasis.
Yes.
I was like, put this somewhere that I don't know where it is. Like, let's just get this thing out of here. So sometimes you definitely have to take a break from the scale and really focus on the other elements that are also really important.
Oh my gosh, my best friend Brittany over here will laugh at this, but she made the same vow to herself not to step on the scale. Yes, I'm telling on you, Brittany. Sorry, not sorry. And she got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, and the scale was right there. And what did she do? She stepped on the damn thing and got discouraged and ran in to tell her husband, and the husband went, all right, I'm going to take care of this. So what did Wild Man do, Brittany? That's her husband's nickname. He took the battery out of the scale, and then he hid the scale where she couldn't find it. So
yeah, I think sometimes you literally have to do that because it can be so tempting to step on there. And then you have your like worthiness thing of like, no, like this is not, this number has nothing to do with my worth, and it goes down this whole spiral. So sometimes you got to get rid of the scale.
Yes, I came up with the moniker, it's the lying liar that lies. And as long as you know it's a liar, Triple J came on, he had a question about that this morning. I wanted to look at the scale, and I'm like, nope, it's a lying liar that lies. Maybe after the first 2 weeks. First 2 weeks, yeah, use it to motivate. But after the first 2 weeks, it does nothing but just kick you in where the sun don't shine.
For sure.
Yeah. So Desiree, I see you wrote me over on the Instagram Live, so I'm going to read what you wrote, and then I want to hear you chime in. You said another thing for anyone not seeing results is to simply ask the question, what else are you going to do? The time is going to pass anyway, so why put a limit on your success? Do you want to expand upon that?
Hey, yeah, thank you for having me. And I would. That is something, like, I was talking with my husband just last night, and we're so funny because I get told all the time, it's like, well, you don't look like you weigh that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, we have this emotional, like, connection to the number on the scale. I love that you're talking about that. And we have this, like, well, I don't look like I weigh. Well, listen, if someone's 5'1" and they weigh the same weight as I do, and I'm 5'8", like, that's going to be vastly different. And the thing is, the scale is just gonna like reflect that of like how much like towards gravity. It's your relationship with gravity. So for me, I love that you touched on that, and you have to hide the scale because that's so true. But also, people are like, well, I had a conversation with one of my clients last night, and she's like, well, I need something in my water. I can't stand the taste of water. And I simply said, need or want? And we had to have this like hard conversation. And I had to kind of unpack the fact that that's not a natural response. Like if you were out in the wild, in the wilderness, you couldn't put sucralose in your water. Like there's no way you could have done that. So basically I was like, so the thing is, like, how bad do you want this? And we give ourselves these outs. We give ourselves these excuses. Well, I can't do this because, well, what else are you going to do? Like, are you going to go back to the habits that haven't served you? And if that is what you're going to do, then I think there's a lot more mental work that needs to be done to say, okay, are you going to keep doing these things, like beating your head against the wall? You know it's not serving you. You see the dents in the wall. You feel the bruises. You know that it hurts you. But then you just turn around and say, well, I'm not getting the success I want. So you go back to your wall. That doesn't make any sense. That is literally the definition of insanity. You're not getting the results you want. You know it hasn't served you. You know you've been miserable. So really down to like the root of it. And I love that you guys are unpacking this and going deep into it.
It goes deeper, and it's something like, why do you self-sabotage? Why do you not feel that you deserve success? Why do you feel that you're not worthy? Why do you feel that you can't make these better decisions? Why can't you love yourself? Why can't you love yourself in the nutrition that you're giving your body? Why can't you hydrate? Why can't you tell yourself, hey, you know what? It's natural to drink water, and I need to find water that I enjoy. Water has taste, and if you're a true water drinker, y'all know I'm kind of a water snob myself, and I'm like, you need to find things that like you actually enjoy. And so I think that's, it kind of like baffles me, because when I first started, I had lost 130 pounds with keto, technically twice. Thank you, pregnancy, hashtag PCOS. But it was one of those deals that for me, I didn't even give myself that opportunity to talk negatively because I didn't trust the voice in my own head. And I think that that's the key, is having that conversation, saying, okay, has this voice served me? Do I actually know what I'm talking about? And when you don't, and I think we had talked about this in one of the groups yesterday, there's my keto baby right now, but you have to align yourself with people who are further along and just give yourself over to the process and stop talking yourself out of it. If you're only on like week 2, you're like, oh, this isn't going to work. Remember how many people have done this and had success, and what did they do differently? And I can almost guarantee they shut up that voice in their head and they did the things, they did the hard things. You're capable of doing those hard things, and they got success. And that's just across the board. I guarantee anybody who's lost any amount of weight and stuck it out, they'll tell you they did the hard things first until they weren't so hard and they became habits. And they kept doing those things to get the results. And the time's going to pass anyways. And I'll just throw out some affirmations here. No one's going to do it for you. If you want the body that you don't have, you got to work for it. So you've got to change something. And I think that it just comes down to my kid's yelling at me.
I love the real life Desiree, and can you tell she's one of the moderators here on Keto for the Soul? She's amazing. I adore you, and yes, it sounds like mommy duties need to take over. Suzanne, you don't know anything about that, do you?
I know, like my little one's 7 and we're doing virtual schooling. So
yes.
I was like, Mom's going to go in the room and let's just try to chill for a little bit.
Yes. Mom's in a meeting right now, and then you do your multiplication, and I'll come check you in a minute. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally relate with what she's saying. I mean, you know, the big thing is, I remember a lot of people saying to me, and I mean, people still do to some degree, of like, you know, I just couldn't do keto because I couldn't sacrifice pasta and bread and sugar and rice. But like, if you really want to look at the way life is in general, like everything is a sacrifice to some degree for the better good. So like, if you want to look at my life before doing keto, like I gave up bread to have a quality of life. So like, tell me what the bigger sacrifice is there. Like, I gave up rice so that like I can run and play with my daughter outside and go upstairs without being out of breath. Like, there's a sacrifice. Like, is the sacrifice, you know, going to be your health, or is it going to be you eat for a total of like what, 30, 45 minutes a day combined,
right, out
of 24 hours a day? Like, what is your sacrifice? Because we all have to have sacrifices in life. I mean, that's just how it is.
Yeah, and we all have to make those choices in life. And people, sadly, Suzanne, like to take the easy road. The easy road never gets you anywhere, and you wonder why you stay stuck.
Yeah, you know, and I think a lot of that is, I don't think people want to take the easy road. I think people feel incapable, and I think people over the years lose their confidence, and they think that they can't do something. So I think to the core of it, I mean, I remember so many times, like, my brother never struggled with his weight. It was infuriating to me because we both ate the same, as you like to call it, garbage. Like,
yes.
We drank soda, we ate McDonald's, we had pizza all the time. We were raised by a single dad, and we didn't have a lot of money, and you know, the people at McDonald's knew us by name. Like, it was just the way that we grew up. And my brother was like super thin, super popular, and I was like the one struggling with weight. And you know, but it was interesting because I remember him saying to me, like, why don't you just lose weight? It's not that hard. I'm like, it is so hard though. Like, you have no idea like what I'm going through. And you know, there's so many people who are like,
they want to change, and I wanted to change for a really long time, but I just couldn't seem to get that momentum that like continued on, because really change is about small habits created that are consistent and become lifestyle changes. Because if you do anything temporarily, those results aren't going to stick. Like, it has to sink in, it has to go deeper, and you can start by doing one small thing at a time. So before I started doing keto, I stopped drinking soda. So it was just one small step. And when I was able to stick to that, then I was like, okay, like, it's kind of like when you do something scary and you get past it, you're like, okay, the next time I'm not going to be as afraid. With stopping soda, I was like, okay, I had one small success. In the past, I would join a gym, start a new program, say I was going to journal. I stacked myself up against all these things, and then I would crumble under the pressure of it all. So sometimes you just have to start with one thing and then take a step, add on, and give yourself some grace.
Yeah, I love that advice. And as my friend Brittany would say, just be 1% better each day. And over the course of a year, you're not just 300% better, you're actually 3,000% better, because it compounds with each new day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So we're going to reset the room. You are in the Keto for the Soul Clubhouse room. Go click on that little green box at the top over here at Clubhouse. Just scroll all the way to the top, look above mine and Suzanne's heads, and you'll see that green box. Subscribe, be a part of this. My role here is to bring in friends like Suzanne Ryan, international best-selling author of Simply Keto, and the book that's kind of the basis of a lot of what we're talking about here today is called Beyond Simply Keto, if you want to check out more on that. We're also simulcasting live over here on my Instagram page, Jimmy Rants. Cariana says, what in the world is happening here? Cariana, welcome to Clubhouse, my dear. People that don't have an iPhone and people that don't have an invitation to join, I'm trying to let them in on all these amazing conversations. Brittany says, all of this has been fire today. I just want to go out and work out, run around the neighborhood now. I'm so pumped. So mission accomplished, Suzanne. You're inspiring people today.
That's awesome. I'm so inspired by everyone in the community as well. Do you want to start doing some questions, Jimmy?
Yeah, I'm going there. If you want to ask a question, and yeah, we have been doing that. I'm just going to invite some more people up. So if you have a question or a comment about this topic for Suzanne Ryan and myself, just click on the little hand, raise your hand, and we'll bring you up to the stage. Johanna, you are up next.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me up. And I just love hearing everyone's stories. And I just wanted to say that I love this topic that you're talking about, because especially like mental health and trauma and things like that, because there are things that we don't talk about. It seems like we're like almost like a taboo. I've been in like the mental health, social work field for almost 15 years now, and I've trained people on trauma-informed care. And I work with children and families that are in the child welfare system, and I can tell you that there's so much trauma happening, especially for our families, that for anybody that experiences trauma within those critical age, like developmental age groups, that's like usually happens when the brain is like having like a critical development point. So usually like between the ages of 0 to 3, 0 to 4, and then the teenage years. If you experience trauma during those points in your development, it impacts your brain completely. And there's images that have been done about how trauma impacts the brain development itself, and there's actual gaps in your brain that indicate if you've been highly traumatized and why you can't experience things the same way that someone else could experience them that hasn't experienced high trauma in their life. And a lot of that does go back to, what we're talking about keto and just this whole holistic approach to everything. A lot of people that are highly traumatized, they do put on a lot of weight, and it's a protection, it's a barrier. Like for me, I remember when I was like a teenager and that same like those critical developmental points in your brain, I didn't want to wear tight clothes or anything. I would always wear baggy clothes because I grew up in New York, so the street harassment in New York is crazy. They don't care how old you are, they don't care. If they see that you're developing and that you look cute, they're going to start hitting on you, and it's like really old guys. And that's very traumatizing for a young girl. So for me, it was like, I didn't want people to see my body. I was so ashamed of it because it brought attention that I wasn't ready for.
and that I didn't want, that I didn't ask for. So that created, me gaining weight so that I could keep people away from me, so that I wouldn't have that attention put on me.
Yeah.
When I started losing the weight on keto, it took me back to that point in my life where I was just like, holy crap, I don't want people looking at me. I don't want the attention. And that all has to do with that trauma that you experience when you're early on, that you don't really even know how to explain it. You don't know how to deal with it, but it's something that holds a lot of people back. And until we don't self-identify that, it's really hard to move on and try to embrace the positive things that are happening to us. So when I looked in the mirror, I lost 60 pounds, but to me, I was still super heavy and overweight, and I couldn't see it. So I knew, I was like, oh shit, I cursed. I was like, oh crap, I have body dysmorphia, because I don't see it. And people are telling me, oh my God, you've lost so much weight. And I'm like, I can't see it. So me sharing that is just let people know that this happens to a lot of us.
Yeah.
And we have to self-identify and be aware of those things, but also be so kind to yourself. Be kind to your clients that are struggling with that if we're coaching.
Yeah.
Just be mindful that trauma expresses itself in so many different ways, and we have to come from that approach of, hey, they're going through something. Who knows what happened to them, why they can't accept this, or why they can't see it. We don't know. I don't know what's happening. And I tell whenever I'm training someone, since I work in child welfare, I always say, look, I'm putting myself in your shoes. I'm putting myself in our family's shoes. I'm only one phone call away from being in a crappy situation just like them.
Yes.
So I can't judge them because of the situation that they're currently in right now.
Whew.
Because I don't know what's going to happen to me tomorrow.
Woo! Girl, you are bringing it. My friend Brittany says, girl, yes, I battled that exact same challenge in my life. And there's actually a study you may not be aware of, you guys, called the ACE study. ACE stands for, well, Johanna, because you're educated, but adverse childhood events. They actually did a study because enough people were going in to see a psychiatrist, Suzanne, that they were seeing a correlation between, you went through X trauma in your life or some adverse event, and then later in life developed type 2 diabetes, developed obesity, developed heart disease. There is a direct correlation, you guys, between these events and why you're in the situation you're in today with chronic disease and obesity.
And there's a disproportion of Hispanic, Blacks, communities that are impoverished communities. There's a huge, you see that more in our community.
Oh my gosh, and especially of if they witness a drive-by shooting, those kinds of things. When I started digging deep into that study, I was like, oh my gosh, this explains why obesity and diabetes is running rampant in a lot of the Black and brown communities. And it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's a protective mechanism for a lot of people.
Yeah. Suzanne?
Yeah, I think in general, you can really look at, a lot of people have different ways that we numb emotions, things that we're going through, or we self-sabotage because our emotions start matching the way that we're treating ourselves and feeling like we're not good enough or that we don't deserve things. So I think just knowing how to kind of spot that better of I'm self-sabotaging or I'm numbing, everybody does it to some degree. And I think one of the most interesting things is for people who deal with food addiction or binge eating or any type of eating disorder, it's kind of interesting because while it's really difficult to quit smoking or drinking or gambling or all these other different things that people do, shopping, there's tons of things that people do. If you deal with a food addiction issue, everybody knows it for the most part, because for me, being over 300 pounds, it's not like that was something that I could keep secret. For the most part, people, probably assumed and made a lot of assumptions about me. But B, you have to eat to survive. So it's almost like if food is your drug of choice, then it's you have to really work on that relationship with food, because it's not you have to drink a little bit of vodka every day to get through your day. It's not a required nutrient to sustain life. So I think it's really important for everyone to kind of give themselves a pat on the back that this is hard. Like, this is an ongoing effort of really analyzing like how we're taking care of ourselves, and knowing that like there's going to be issues that are going to pop up, but like, we have to continue working on them, and we'll get better and better, and we'll have setbacks, but we'll know that that's just part of being human.
Yes, yes. Guys, if you just joined us, and there's a lot of you in here today, thank you so much for joining today. I have my great friend and international best-selling author Suzanne Ryan on here today. She wrote a great book called Beyond Simply Keto, but we're going deep into mindset, trauma, mental health here in the Keto for the Soul room. And we're also simulcasting over on my Instagram page. So thanks to all my Instagram live people over on the Jimmy Rants page. We will probably rebrand that over on Instagram to like Jimmy on Clubhouse or something like that. That way I can simulcast these. We're trying to build Clubhouse. Judith has done a great job of creating this platform, but there's a lot of people that can't get on for whatever the reason right now. So Jimmy gonna try to fix that, at least when he's moderating a room. But if you have a question or a comment about mindset, trauma, mental health, pop on that hand button down below and we will bring you up on the stage. Vaughn, you're up, bro.
Good morning, Jimmy. Good morning, Suzanne. Thank you for having me. I appreciate the conversation. Can we touch a little bit on PTSD, which I know, trauma in general, something like that, along with keto, and how the two of them kind of equate together, and maybe even touch a little bit on what's considered now type 3 diabetes of the brain and being Alzheimer.
Yeah, I'll address the Alzheimer's. I actually heard that for the first time, the whole type 3 diabetes of the brain being Alzheimer's. I heard that back in 2008. I interviewed this man. He was a neurosurgeon at the time, Dr. Larry McCleary, back on the Live and La Vida Low Carb show. So this has been well known for a very long time. I remember when he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. Like, and especially now that everything with chronic disease pretty much ties back to insulin resistance. Alzheimer's is just insulin resistance of the brain. And so, yeah, like keto is like the bomb for that. And it helps with it. And this is something too, Suzanne, that a lot of these mental health issues and struggles and things that people deal with, it comes back to they're not nourishing their brains very well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's just so many elements that tie in. I mean, I haven't experienced like PTSD, but I just think in general, like, it's so important for us to really be open-minded about mental health and how all of these elements really like affect every element of our life, and how important it is to seek help and talk about it, because again, like, shame grows in silence. So like, the more we talk about things, the more we ask for help, the more we don't suffer in silence, the better.
Oh, absolutely. Did that answer your question, Vaughn? Yes,
sir. And I believe too, right? The more we don't suffer in silence, the better, right? We need to, bring those things to the forefront. Suzanne, thank you very much. Jimmy, thank you for expanding this platform to more than Clubhouse. Other people out there on Instagram, other, stages, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Vaughn. Malika is going to start keto this weekend, Suzanne. You said tomorrow, right, Malika?
Yeah, I'm actually reading Simply. I am a patron of yours, Suzanne. I'm reading Beyond Simply Keto right now.
Oh, awesome.
And I have Simply Keto, and I'm very thankful for Keto Karma, because you have the week 1 shopping list to fit the recipe right there.
Yeah.
Literally just, because I was stressing out on what to actually, what do I get the first week? What do I do? What am I doing? And you have the week 1 list, literally like, hey, here you go. I am very appreciative, because that is basically what I'm going to use. I don't eat pork, but, there's ground beef, so I will use, modifications as necessary. So I just wanted to thank you for your resources and for just letting people just print them, and for your work in the keto space. I just wanted to note here, with this being about, I started so many diets, and which is why I was resistant to start a new one. And I've been dealing with my own type of challenges in mental health. Food has always been my haven, has always been my safe space. and where, like if I'm disappointed in life, food is always where I turned. It was like, okay, this is not going to disappoint me because it's going to be good. I know what it tastes like, and it is what it is. But I've done that to the point where now I'm diabetic, and I'm on medications, multiple, and I'm just got to the point where I'm tired of it. So I am about to start. I'm going to do what I said I was going to do before, but this time it's different. I am a writer, so I am going to journal throughout this process. I'm starting Suzanne's week one, I'll call it. Like as soon as I get the food, I'm ordering today. So when it comes, I'm starting. So it may not be to Sunday. But I'm excited. And this is not one question I do have is acknowledging my own mental health challenges. I noticed you didn't have, and maybe I'm still studying, but you don't have an electrolyte supplement in your week one. I don't see that on the list. Is there a reason, or is it covered? You think it's enough of it in the food that, a person should be covered there?
Are you looking in Beyond Simply Keto or Simply Keto?
Beyond Simply Keto.
Okay, there should be in the front section like a whole subject that covers electrolytes, because electrolyte supplementation is just kind of like a routine thing. So it's not just that you kind of keep tabs on it all the time. And as Jimmy will tell you, it's really important that you do, especially at first, because you'll have a big fluid loss, and with that you lose a lot of electrolytes. And then over time, I find that I less and less have to actually supplement my electrolytes, but I've also been doing keto for 6 years now. But the electrolytes are just assumed that they're going to be going throughout the entire process of that. And I show you some natural ways to do that, because there are different things that you can mix into your drinks, and there's different products, but I would always just do broths. I would always make bone broth, or just buy regular broth, or put salt in my water, or there's lots of ways that you can kind of add salt to things, and eat some avocado for potassium. There's lots of natural ways that you can get your electrolyte supplementation.
Okay. I know, that's why it's not on the list, because it's in the next.
Yeah, we assume you're going to be doing that kind of thing, Malika, so sometimes the assumes for new people aren't so easy to remember.
For sure. And Malika, I totally resonate with what you're saying. I know that feeling of being sick and tired, and I just want to encourage you to continue reaching out and sharing your story and connecting with people, and have that accountability, because it's really good for you to journal, but it's really, really important for you to connect and stay really synced in with a support system. So I'm really proud of you.
Thank you. And let me go back to that section, because I literally have the bed in my bed right now. So.
Sounds good. If you have trouble finding it, you can DM me on Instagram, and I'll send you I'll go. I gotta go get the book and find out what page it's on.
Thank you, Malika. Appreciate your question. And Triple J, you are on the stage.
What's going on, man?
What's up, brother?
Hey, I just want to confirm something with you, Jimmy. This is the second time I've heard about the scale thing, so I threw my scale away. It's gone. It's in the trash, brother. I'm not looking at it again until I step on the scale at my doctor's appointment. Then they'll tell me whatever the weight is then. So thank you for that this morning.
You're welcome.
I just want to say, thank you, sir. I just want to say I didn't realize how much trauma mentally that I did have with the past, and how I use food to cope with different stress that I had in my life.
Yes.
When I was angry, when I was sad.
Yes.
When I was disappointed about something, I turned to food for comfort. And it didn't register me till Monday. I had an issue that happened at work, and I became angry. And I started thinking about all of the bad foods I used to eat for some reason. It came to my brain, and I was like, whoa, wait a minute. And I was like, wow. It was just an epiphany to me. And so now I'm just trying to keep myself straight and really repair mentally what has happened to me, how I've moved in my past.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Dude, during my trauma as a teenager, my dad was very abusive and both mentally and physically towards me. I would come home from school. I would get off the school bus, or if I drove home in my car when I got older, I would go into the restaurant, and if my dad was there and he would look at me a certain way, say a certain thing to me, it would trigger in me that I needed comfort, and I turned right to, he had like a buffet style in the South. So you can imagine fried okra and all the everything on the buffet, and I'm sitting there piling it up and stuffing it in my mouth. And it's like, no wonder, Suzanne, why I got to be obese. I learned habits of coping and, with stress and triggering trauma at a very early age that it took me many, many years to try to first recognize I was doing that, like Triple J has here today, but then doing something about it, Suzanne.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I don't think it really ever clicked to me until I was like a couple weeks into really doing keto and kind of really focusing on like, why am I actually, like, I'm feeling hungry? Is it because I'm actually hungry, or is it because I'm like upset about something, or I'm nervous, or I'm anxious, or I'm feeling depressed? Like, it's just really incredible. Like, so many people are emotional eaters, yet like there's not really a lot of conversation about it. And again, I think that's because of shame. But it's really great now that you've noticed that, Triple J. It's like once you are mindful and aware of something, then you can really start to overtake it. It's those things that we're doing that we don't realize that can really sabotage us. So that's a really great discovery for you.
And I am learning that food, man, tastes great even with keto. So that's a plus for me right now.
Well, thank you, Triple J. I want to reset the room, you guys. You're in the Keto for the Soul Clubhouse room over at the Clubhouse app. I say it that way because all of you here are like, duh, of course we're on the Clubhouse app. But I'm also simulcasting over on Instagram Live, on the Jimmy Rants Instagram Live. Those of you watching over here, thank you for watching. This is Clubhouse. Go download the app. We're Keto for the Soul. Definitely check it out over there. We go, there's basically live rooms all day long. But those of you that don't have an iPhone or you haven't gotten an invitation to go to Clubhouse, I wanted to give you guys a taste of this. So if you like what you're hearing, go join. But please go ahead and engage in what we're talking about here today. Just write a little comment below as we're talking. I've got the great Suzanne Ryan on, wonderful friend of mine, international best-selling author of Simply Keto, and the book we're kind of talking about here today, Beyond Simply Keto. And those of you here on Clubhouse, just raise your hand. We got probably about another 45 minutes-ish that we can be here before Suzanne has to go. Well, you got to take your daughter to something. I think you had to go by noon or something.
Yeah, I have a meeting, and then we're heading to the Smoky Mountains today.
Yeah, so we all need that time of getaway. So we're not going to hold her too long. But if you love Suzanne up here on the stage, give her a big clap by shaking your mic there, and let's see if you love what she's been sharing here today. Really appreciate you spending time with us, Suzanne. So who is next up? It looks like it's Yolanda. What you got for us?
Hello, everyone. I wanted to just speak to as far as mental health and the great things that are going on as far as improving your mental health, with the correlation, the direct connection between your gut microbiome and your brain. And people are healing themselves by what they're eating and putting into their gut. And it is also improving their mental function as well. Not just what you're eating, but also if you're intermittent fasting, that can all help with depression,
yes.
Alzheimer's. There's a direct correlation. So I just wanted to speak to that.
Yes, thank you for that. And there is a great book about that. If you're not aware, Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride wrote a book called The GAPS Diet. Go look it up, GAPS. And yeah, it's about the whole gut-brain axis. I mean, they are intricately connected. If you're not aware of that, like, guys, I know this is next level. If you're new to keto and you're going, the gut-brain what? Yeah, it's a little bit advanced, but once you kind of get the basics of keto down, this is the kind of thing to dive into. And Suzanne, like when you first started Keto Karma on YouTube, you didn't care about gut-brain axis, but I'm sure it's on your radar now.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's really cool how, I remember going in, I still don't get as like scientifically geeky as a lot of people do, because I think the science behind keto is really cool, but like my passion is really like what we're talking about, like mindset, mental health, connection, vulnerability, empathy. Like that's really like my heartstring issues. But every once in a while I like to nerd out on all this stuff, and it is amazing. The one thing I will say is intermittent fasting is something that if you would have told me before keto to try, I would have been like, there's absolutely no way that I would have ever been able to do that. And then, you know, once you get keto adapted and your relationship with food and hunger changes, then it's actually like really natural. And I never really kind of forced doing that, but like sometimes I just naturally end up doing intermittent fasting because I'm just not hungry and unsatisfied. So, you know, you got to give yourself some space to know that like some foods you'll end up liking that you didn't think you would like, or some things you'll have more like willpower and ability to do naturally that you didn't anticipate. So it's just good to keep an open mind.
I think it's like you get a few benefits and you're like, what else can I see as a benefit? And it just kind of motivates you to want to keep exploring and trying things.
Right, it's just so freeing and liberating.
Yes.
And it becomes intuitive, so it's an amazing experience.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you for that, Yolanda. Shar, you're up next.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey.
This room, mindset is a huge thing for me because I was initially really apprehensive to try keto just because of my experience with quote-unquote dieting in the past. But I did not realize how much your childhood or whatever traumatic experiences you've had could play a role in your day-to-day.
Yes.
In the midst of doing my own mindset work, which I believe I was doing long before I targeted, mindset work for keto. Just a little bit, I went through, like, as a child, physical neglect, some sexual neglect. I lost one of my caregivers. Basically my parent was in the home, but she wasn't in the home, So at 12 years old, it's me raising my sister, essentially. So I didn't realize that those things actually play a role in my future self. I didn't know that it would manifest itself in increased anxiety, my sleep problems, any number of things like that. But one of the things that it really kind of changed my trajectory as far as what I did professionally with my life when I went to college. I knew that I was going to be in some type of helping profession because that's all I knew how to do was to caregive. And so I went into school for social work, came out, and while I am pouring into all these other people, it was because most of it was because I couldn't figure out my own feelings and emotions, but I could help other people with theirs. And it took me a long time to realize that I wasn't dealing with the things that I had gone through or reconciled them in some way so that I could then pour that back into myself. And that is the work that I am beginning now at 46 years old. You would think, okay, I can tell you what to do with your life, but I couldn't figure out what to do with my own internally. And it really, I really started drilling into it when I started this keto journey and started entering these Keto for the Soul rooms. When I tell you that God led me to Keto for the Soul because I needed all that it encompasses, not just the working on macros and all that other stuff, recipes and all that. That's what I thought I was coming to get. But I've gotten so much more from that
Yes.
can help me lifelong, not just nutritionally or whatever.
Well, I can tell you that you've been doing the work on yourself, Shar, because when I first came into Keto for the Soul, you were the first person I resonated with. And you were the one that was like, hey, you should stick around. We'd love to have you talk more and blah, blah. So if you love that Jimmy Moore is here, you have to blame that beautiful woman right there for getting me on this and really active here. So thank you for that. And man, Suzanne, what she said there about doing that work, she's 46, I'm 49, and I have only been working on this for the past couple of years really the past couple of years myself, it's never too late to work on this mindset stuff.
Yeah, and Char, I love something that you said that really resonated with me was, I think a lot of times people who grew up and experienced trauma or neglect and had issues with like self-esteem, self-worth, value, the roles that people should have had to make you feel safe and secure and supported growing up. Like if you missed that, it's an interesting thing because a lot of times people who've experienced trauma are like the most loving and empathetic people in the world because we know what it was like to feel like we weren't prioritized or to feel not good enough. And when you know that, you don't want other people to go through that. So I think it's just so beautiful that you knew how to see the worth and how to help other people, but now you're starting to see your worth and to know how to help yourself. But I think that's just incredible because I think a lot of us become like we want to fix other people because we want other people to be happy, and then we realize that like we can't pour from an empty cup, so we have to really start working on ourselves. And I just think that's really cool because I was the same way. I was always helping other people, and I was always like I was great at like doing all these things, but then like I was empty. So I just think that that's really amazing, and you sound like an incredible person.
Oh shucks, Suzanne. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Shar. I really appreciate you. And again, thank you for making me a part of and making me feel welcome in the Keto for the Soul community. And see, now we're feeding back into other people, and you're going to do amazing things here in the years to come. Really proud to know you. Guys, we have one other person on the stage. If you want to get in on this conversation, definitely click on your hand thing down below and it will bring you up on the stage. I don't know all the technical terms, Judith. I'm just winging this. But like, go ahead and wave at us and we'll bring you up on the stage. Joan, you're up next.
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
This is such a privilege. I have Simply Keto, Suzanne, and I have the Complete Guide to Fasting. I love that book too, Jimmy.
Oh, perfect.
They've been very helpful to me. First, I want to say, Shar, I just love you, and I was immediately drawn to you as well because you had talked about some of your health struggles, and I feel that compassion and love for you, and you're going to do great. I just know it. So I've been down 50 pounds since about 6 years ago with keto, and I did it completely alone. And now I have a keto family, so I'm really happy about that. But I'm nervous and I'm pretty shy. So getting up on stage is not easy for me. But I learned very young how to use food as an opiate. And I thank you so much for this topic in mental health because I think we need to change. I can feel that a little bit changing now, but when I say anything to people, it's almost as though they look at me deer in the headlights, like maybe you're crazy lady, whatever. I really don't care anymore. I just think that everyone has some kind of trauma, and mine was also abuse at the hands of my father. And we don't need to share TMI with everyone. And one of the things, I think it was Jimmy just said, it's never too late to improve your mental health. I'm in my 60s. I didn't even know what my feelings were. I have to oftentimes ask my therapist, right now dealing with a PTSD trauma therapist, and we do EMDR, brain spotting, and she also shares faith with me. So that's just for me a huge bonus. And so one of the things I always say in any kind of a meeting, like at my church or whatever, is it's never too late to improve your mental health. And I still don't totally know what I feel. And sometimes when we're doing EMDR, I have to actually ask her to name some feelings. That's how out of touch I was with my feelings. But I thank you guys so much, and I think this subject needs to be talked about more.
Well,
Joan, thank you so much for sharing that. That's incredible. I was going to say, it's kind of interesting. I realized like over the time of like talking to so many people, and especially Jimmy, I'm sure that you've experienced this as well. Like when you go on tour and you meet people, it's funny, the conversation, and even just in rooms like this, you'll start to notice. Initially, people start talking about wanting to lose weight or like wanting to change, and then you start hearing people talk about keto, like what's the solution or what's the thing that they're going to do, and then almost always the very next conversation is, I've experienced trauma, like I haven't felt good about myself,
Yes.
like I'm depressed, like, and that is really at the core of a lot of this. Like my last book tour was with Williams Sonoma, and I remember like whenever we're at the end and I'm talking one-on-one with people, like it's not uncommon that like both of us will be in tears.
Yeah.
And, you know, one of the managers from one of the Williams Sonoma stores came up to me and she's like, this is the first book tour that we've ever done that like people are so emotional. Like do you like talk about stuff way deeper than like you guys are in here like cooking? And I was like, oh yeah, keto is just like one small section of this way bigger picture. Like it's all about how we feel. It's all about our mindset and our mental health. And I think that's just really important to really bring that conversation forward, which is why, like, after I wrote Simply Keto, I was like, oh crap, there's this huge element that I'm missing that, like, I should have talked about that I didn't realize the importance of the time. And that's why I wrote Beyond Simply Keto, because I was like, we really need to have this at the forefront of what we're working on. Because if we don't change our mindset, we can't change our lifestyle.
Oh, and this is where I'm moving in my work too, Suzanne. And guys, notice this. You have two of the people that are the most well-known names in keto, and keto's cool, and we love it, and we promote it, and we share all the things, but there's more to life then, and there's more to share then. And so I hope you're getting that in today's Clubhouse, that we're doing this here today, because this is the stuff you're not really hearing talked about a lot, and it's the important stuff. And I do have a story, by the way, where a fan at one of the conferences, I forget, it might have been like it was one of the keto one, a Keto Houston about 3 years ago. I was standing there meeting and greeting, hey, you're Suzanne Ryan, they do all the fangirl thing, and I saw a lady staring at me from afar, and she was like halfway in tears, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to invite her over. Like, I see people like that and I'm drawn to them. And I like wave her over and she's, oh my God, I get to meet Jimmy more. Like, it's not all that, I promise you. But like, she came over and she was just bawling her eyes out. And it was the same thing. She had such an emotional reaction that my work had helped her with her diet. But more than anything, it kind of opened her eyes of, oh my gosh, I dealt with all these habits for so many years because of the stuff I went through in my life. And she loved that I had an empathetic heart. And if you meet someone in the keto space that does not have empathy for where you came from, drop that keto guru and find somebody that gives a damn about you.
Yeah, I'm like flashing my mic so much that I'm going to break my phone. That is so true. Like, empathy is so, so important. And I honestly think at the core of like all the things that are what is wrong with our society, it's a lack of empathy. Like, empathy is so important. It's the ability to be, connected with other people. It's the ability to care about something that maybe doesn't even personally affect you, but to have the heart that's like there to listen and to help support other people. It's so important.
Yes, guys. I hope you got this overall theme today, that it's more than just that macros that you put in your mouth. It's more than just real food. It's more than just the things you typically think about when you're on a weight loss journey or a health journey. Mental health is still health. Let's don't forget that. And it's the reason I wanted to get Suzanne on here today is we don't talk about this stuff enough, and there's no stigma. We've all gone through our moments in life that have shaped us into who we are today. Don't have shame about where you came from. Be proud and confident in who you're becoming because of those things and what you've overcome and the resiliency that you've developed. But Suzanne, thank you so much, my friend, for joining today. I was really happy to bring you on. I was like, guys, I know a lot of people in this space. Who can I sucker to get on Clubhouse with me? Oh, Suzanne Ryan, sure. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, Jimmy, thanks so much for having me. And Judith, thank you so much. I love that you've created this space for people to connect, because I'm telling you, like, having a support system is pivotal. There's no reason to go through this journey alone, and the more you share, the more you will shine. And it's just really important to really speak and get all that stuff off your chest, because so many of us have buried so many things in shame, and we really will grow when we release all that and get it all out in the open so that we can move past it.
Guys, go follow Suzanne. She's new here on Clubhouse, and give her a follow. Definitely go check out her book, Simply Keto and Beyond Simply Keto. That's my favorite one, Suzanne. Simply Keto was cool because it was like your foray into book writing, but Beyond Simply Keto is the Suzanne I know and love.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that was the book that was on my heart. It was really difficult to write. It was super emotional, but I felt like it really needed to be talked about.
Absolutely. Well, Suzanne, thanks for that. And guys, coming up next week, I have a plethora of guests coming up. So on Monday, I have Sean Wells. We're going to talk about biohacking. Tuesday, Dan French on diet self-persuasion. Sometimes you don't always believe why you're doing the diet. So he's a rhetoric PhD. We're going to pick his brain on that. Looks like Wednesday, Lesia will be talking about how keto is different for women. Thursday, I've got Ben Azadi on all the do's and don'ts of keto. So I got a full schedule next week. Go click on my bio and you'll see all of that listed there so you never miss anything. It's so all over the board, Judith. I couldn't get like a set time and have all these wonderful guests. So we're just going to bounce around. I'm trying to avoid other rooms so I don't overstep other people. But thank you guys for being here, and have a great day on Keto for the Soul. And thank you, Instagram Live, for also joining us simulcast here today.
Thank you so much to both of you for just coming on here and sharing with us. I know, again, I speak for all of us. We appreciate your time. I know it's valuable, so thank you.
Thank you guys so much. And thank you to everyone in the audience. Thank you for your questions. I know it can be really nerve-wracking to speak, but Clubhouse is really a great supportive community. So don't feel, worried or fearful. You can always hop up on stage. I encourage you guys to interact and hop up there and just ask a question. People really want to see you succeed. So thank you guys so much.
Thanks, guys. We're going to sign off now. Bye. All right, Instagram, hope you enjoyed that. Those of you that stuck around for the hour and a half, we're going to start doing this more and more on the Jimmy Rants page. And like I said at the beginning, I'll likely rebrand this page from Jimmy Rants over to probably Jimmy on Clubhouse. It's not that I don't like doing Jimmy Rants. I just feel like this is so much more meaningful content that could be a little bit more my heart of what I've been trying to do with Jimmy Rants anyway. Jimmy Rants was a great outlet and loved every bit of everything I do with Jimmy Rants, but I feel like this Clubhouse interaction definitely has a lot more applicability in the real world, if that makes sense. So thank you guys for being here. I will definitely be coming on live with you guys more and more and more. So thank you for being here, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.